Can you see me now?
All right, guys. I was asked about this welder right here. It's a little Hobart 140. I am a Miller man. I grew up running Miller welders. My first Miller welder that I ever ran, I think it was a 135. I was 13 years old. It was the old style that had the plugs that went in the front. I went out there and asked my dad to teach me how to weld, and he went over there and unplugged everything, spun the wire off, and he said, pick up the welder. I've been welding ever since. Yeah, that first time I welded looked like total poop, but I was 13 years old, never been around them. So I'm partial to the Millermatics. I'm not partial to this welder. I picked this up on Marketplace. It had the nozzle inside was broke, the aluminum housing. They wanted like $1,700 for that piece. I don't know if you can see it or not. Yeah, that piece right there. Took it out to Dad's, TIG welded it back together. I've been running this welder for 8 years. I replaced the weld lead one time. I do not like that welder as much. I like the 225s, 250s. They're a little bit heavier duty. That one I haven't really messed with it enough to learn it. But back when I was in my garage, I picked this up from a co-worker, and yeah, I knew right away I wasn't going to like it because it's a Hobart. It's the same as a Lincoln. I've never had good experiences with them, but this welder right here, I have done a lot of work with it, and it hasn't been that bad of a welder. It's the only Hobart I've ever ran that I cared for. So I was asked about setting it up on thin sheet metal. All right, I gotta say, I have not run this welder that much in several years. When Eric was coming out, he would grab this and do some welding. It looks like he had it on heat setting 2 and 32, so I'm gonna see what it looks like right where he had it and see if I can't dial it in and see where we end up. Alright. Get my gloves on here, man. Get my gloves on. Where it's set. Or something, I'll crank it up. What? Yuck. Turn it down on 1, see what it does. Boy, I don't like that at all. Let's just, let's see. Let's turn it up on 2. That sounds a little better, but it's pretty warm. Try it again. Alright, too much wire. I'm gonna run a little weld to see what it does. Alright, I'm going to turn that wire down just a little bit more. That's not hateful. All right. A little more penetration up there. All right, let's try another test. Let's see. Turn that wire up just a little bit. Now this is all 16 gauge here. I don't like the sounds of it, but that don't look bad. You ain't gonna break it off there, so. Well, all right. So that is set on 1 and about 38. I'm gonna go get some thinner stuff and see how it does on it. Okay, I went over and grabbed some 28 gauge, and believe it or not, this is what all new cars are made out of. This is all recycled materials made into really thin junk. This came from KTH, which makes stampings for Honda, Toyota, stuff like that. I think they even do some of the General Motors stuff. But let's just see what it'll do. Well, now come on. Got to get it to where my fingers will hold it in place. This is all just scraps. I think they got a little bit of galvanized mixed in with this stuff too. And you guys wonder why all your new vehicles rot away so quickly. It's because of this. Recycled materials, it's always better to have virgin material. Yep, there's some galvanized in there. You guys gotta watch welding galvanized. Best thing I've found is grab some milk. If you got a lot of galvanized to do, grab a gallon of milk or a quart of milk or whatever. Just keep drinking that and it'll keep them gases from overtaking you. That ain't too bad right there. I can dial it in better though. What do you think? Think I can dial it in a little better? Let's put that about right there. I'll get it tacked and then I'll adjust the welder. All right. Down a little bit. All right, you ready? Got a lot of penetration in it. I just didn't like the sound of it. Balled it up a little bit more than if I had to wire up where it was. So I'm gonna turn the wire back up a little bit. Let's see what it'll do. That sounded a lot better, a lot less ridge. Yeah, that looks real good. Good penetration. So this is 28 gauge. And I have it on one, about 39. Yeah, about the same. About the same as 16 gauge. Let's do a butt weld like if you're doing floors from 16 gauge to 28 gauge. Up. Come on. All right. That's not too bad. Good penetration on the inside. And like I said, 28 gauge, 16 gauge. I don't think you're gonna have any issues with any of them. See? You can bend that 28 gauge all over the place. It ain't gonna break that weld. That 16 gauge, you ain't gonna move. Look at that. All right. Well, I hope that helped. Biggest thing is you just gotta take your time, practice, play around a little bit with it. Just because it didn't sound good, you can tell the difference in the weld. Sometimes it won't sound good, especially with a 110 welder. I like this for a lot of smalls. I wanted to get gas for this because when I go to do the quarter panels on this, I'm thinking about using this. It will keep it a little bit cooler than that one. And it, as you can see, well, it popped off there, but I had this holding up on that lever so it'd stay up in one and keep a contact. I need to tear that apart and get new contacts for it, but I don't know. I'd like to get me a Miller 250. I think if somebody's watching that works at Miller, I think they ought to suggest sending me one. Because I'll tell you, I'll advertise the snot out of it. I love them welders. All right, well, I'm out of here. I am hungry. Made some good progress on this thing today. Floors tacked in. This panel, I finished making it. It's welded in. The door jamb area is cut out and made and welded in. I'm happy. The progress is going good. All right, well, till tomorrow.